Hello and welcome to the 2025 Consulting Changemaker Award Ceremony. My name's Naman. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Management Consulted. We're the world's largest platform on the consulting industry, and we are just thrilled today to be honoring a group of incredible consultants who are making waves and driving change in their particular firms, functions, and sectors. And so today you're going to hear from incredible consultants who are doing amazing work on the front lines. My goal today is not to do all the talking. My goal is to ensure that you get to hear from these amazing consultants. You get to glean from their insight, from their wisdom, whether you're beginning your consulting journey or whether you're 20 years in. If you're tuning in today, there is something for you to learn. There's going to be an inspiring nugget that you walk away with coming out of today's ceremony. So the first thing that I just want to do is honor everybody here who's a part of this cohort. This was a competitive process. There were a lot of nominations that we received. This is a peer nominated award. We received hundreds of nominations from firms across the consulting ecosystem from around the world. These were our finalists, and as you'll hear from them in a minute, I think you'll be convinced, just as we were, that these were the right finalists for this award. These were the right people to receive the 2025 Changemaker Award. So we're, again, thrilled to have them here, thrilled to have you tuning in from LinkedIn, YouTube, those of you who are listening on our podcast. Welcome. Let's go ahead and kick off. The first thing that I just want to do is walk us through today's order of show. So we're going to walk through a little bit of context on who Management Consulted is. I'll be frank with you, there's a lot of BS awards out there. And so the first thing that I want to do is just talk to you about who Management Consulted is so that you just have a sense of kind of who is the awarder before we get to the awardees. And then what we'll do is we'll get into the awards. We'll ask each finalist, each awardee to speak for a minute or two and just share some brief remarks. Then what we'll do is we'll move into a quick panel discussion where folks will just share some of the insights that they've gleaned over their consulting career. And then we'll wrap up our ceremony here at the top of the hour. If you would like to connect with our 2025 award winners, then you can scan the QR code on the screen. We'll leave this up for about 30-ish seconds. They have graciously, allowed us to kind of share their LinkedIn, share an opportunity and a ability for you to connect with them. So if there's something that they say that really kind of tickles your fancy, that catches your attention, you want to follow up with them, whether you want to work on their teams, whether you want to work with them, if you're a potential buyer of consulting services, go ahead and scan that QR code and get in touch with those folks. So, who's Management Consulted? All I want to do off this slide is just talk to you all briefly about how we work with consulting firms, just so that you know that we're very familiar with the space and the ecosystem. So, what we do is, our team, we're former consultants ourselves. We launched Management Consulted in 2008 because we just felt like consulting was a black box. It was an industry that could charge a lot of money because nobody knew what consultants did, right? And so our job initially was just to kind of lift the veil on what the industry and the space was, what life was really like, what the job was really like, what it took to break into consulting. And our down to earth voice, our kind of no frills, no BS kind of approach resonated with you all. And we quickly grew to about 4 million readers and listeners a year. And we've stayed engaged in the space in multiple different ways. So one of the things that we do is we work really closely with firms, excuse me, to help them fill their talent pipelines. And so we're constantly kind of working with firms on honing their value proposition, on kind of keeping them up to date on what the standards are in terms of how candidates are evaluating firms. And so we've gotten to know these firms over time from that perspective. We also work with a lot of consulting firms on training and upskilling, particularly in top-down problem solving and executive communication. And so we just don't bring our own past experience to the table. We don't just bring our landscape view of what's happening in the space to the table, but we also bring some of the hands-on work that we're doing with consulting firms to the table as well, just to help us really evaluate not just who the top firms are, but who the top consultants and top change makers are in the industry as well. So we've got 12 winners today. We had over 400 firms who nominated kind of candidates for this award. We had over 1,000 moments of impact that were specifically referenced in those nominations and those applications. And out of those thousands of moments of impact over those 400 firms, these were the 12 winners that we chose. And so I'm excited for you in just a minute to get to hear from them. Maybe they'll share an anecdote or a story about the particular impact that they drove for a client that really led to this nomination. So, Japheth, without further ado, let's just quickly walk through the criteria for how these folks, out of the 400 firms and thousands of folks who are nominated, ended up here today. So the first criteria was that they led a measurable client transformation. And for those of you who are watching, you can see some of the examples there of what that looks like. The second criteria was that they either built or launched a new initiative, whether that's launching a new vertical or a practice, whether that's designing or rolling out a new platform, a new initiative that was either meaningful for their firm or meaningful for the industry at large. And then the third criteria, which I think cannot be overlooked, is that they made a lasting difference in firm operations or culture. One of the things that we all know intuitively, if you've been in the consulting space, is that consulting is primarily a human capital driven business. That means that oftentimes, right, like the people are the product, which means that culture is paramount in terms of setting yourself apart, not just in terms of the war for talent, but also in the way that you can make a difference for clients. And so we really wanted to ensure that the folks who are being honored today have made a lasting difference, not just in how their firm works, but in what it feels like to work at that particular firm. And so you can see there, some examples: pioneering a flexible work model, championing mental health initiatives. That's a big part of impact as well, and we wanted to honor that. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. So, Japheth, thanks so much for running the slides and putting all this together. Who is our first change maker that we'd like to hear from today?
Yeah, drum roll, please. All right. Congrats to Barclay Stanton at Portage Point Partners. I'll leave this up for about 10 seconds. Barclay, would love for you to come off mute and give us about 2 minutes of remarks. Congrats and excited to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks, Shabeth. Yeah, it's been a year into my role here at Portage Point. I've been consulting for about 8 years now, 12 years as an operator, 8 years as a consultant. Came over to build a new practice on Portage Point's platforms this year, which is the Office of the CFO Group. We've launched that practice. We were hoping to double it off of a very small base last year. We'll probably triple or quadruple it this year. So it's been a great success. I'm actually here at a leadership offsite today, architecting the new additions that we're going to be building out next year as we continue our growth. So it's been a great first year. Appreciate the time today. Should I launch right in here into just one of the points that I wanted to hit on from some of the examples?
Please do.
Yeah, look, I'll say this as like probably obvious to a lot of the consultants on the screen today, but I think one of the things, particularly if you're coming up in your career, right, you're trying to think about how do I make an impact, both with my firm, right, but I think more importantly with your clients. It usually comes down to listening. It sounds like so obvious. It doesn't, it's not always obvious, right? It doesn't always happen even at sort of the best shops and with the best talent. I mean, we have people from McKinsey and Bain and A&M and M and Alex and all these great brands, but it doesn't mean it happens flawlessly. And what good listening looks like is if you are listening, right? Your client's calling you back. You're being requested for by name on a project. These are the proof points, right? If you are listening. If those things aren't happening, right, I think listening is usually a good piece to focus on. And then the other thing I'd say is if you feel like you are making a good impact on your firm and your clients, but those things aren't happening, then maybe you should also be listening, right? Because I think sometimes we think we have all the answers or we think we see it, the problem well. But if our client's not feeling it the way that we are, it usually comes down to identifying what are the needs that the client's trying to solve for, right? They could be firm needs, they could be professional needs, they could be personal needs. And so really identifying those, I think if you can do that well, you can be really successful in this space.
Barkley, I love that incredibly underrated skill. It amazes me when I do executive and leadership coaching how much time I spend on listening. You just assume people would have gotten it, but it's a helpful reminder that like you never move on from some of those foundational concepts and skills, and listening is a skill. So, absolutely love that. Great way to tee off our remarks today. Um, Japheth, who's our next awardee?
Drum roll. We've got Christina Wiener, manager at Clarkston Consulting. You can see just a brief tagline about what their nominator said about Christina. So obviously an incredible consultant. Christina, would love to hear from you.
Hi, everyone. Christina Weiner here, manager with Clarkston Consulting. I'm primarily in the life sciences space in the quality systems implementations, as well as strategy work. Organizational change management is my specialty, and I've been with the firm for 11 years. And I am very excited to be here. Thank you so much to my nominees within Clarkston and my current client, who I've been with for almost 4 years now. I really want to thank the firm for providing an excellent foundation through my new hire orientation. We had a boot camp program where I learned all of the nuts and bolts of an implementation project, um, a lot of strategy work, and as well as hands-on technology. So I've had a lot of experiences as well through my project work, not just always in the same vein. And I've been willing to take on new challenges at each project in different roles, which I think really adds to my ability to be empathetic and understand not only the needs of my client, but also my internal Clarkston team. I'd love to thank my teammates. Without them, I definitely wouldn't be here getting this award. It's not a one person operation. A lot of what I do is very collaborative, involving brainstorming, thinking creatively about what would be the most engaging way to ensure that stakeholders understand the various change impacts that will be happening through the project, and understand the aspects related to their future life with this either new organizational structure or new technology. So we have a lot of fun through this creative process, and I love trying new things, whether it be like an expo that's race car themed or cruise ship themed or even video game themed. We try a lot of different ways to get folks excited about their work and what's going to be happening through various change initiatives. I've had even the pleasure of doing a Ted Lasso themed strategic priority workshop with my clients as well. So lots of fun happening, and I'm super glad and fortunate to be a part of such a great company, as well as a client, one of the top 20 pharmas in the globe. So thank you.
Christina, now I want to crash one of your expos. So if I just show up one day, it's your fault, okay? So
Okay.
those sound very fun. Yeah.
We try. We
I,
try.
I love that. I love that. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Christina. Very gracious. Our next awardee.
Wonderful. Tuning in from across the globe, we've got Dr. Ehab from Decarbon. Thank you so much. Good evening to you, and excited to hear from you.
Thank you so much, management consultant. Thank you so much, everybody who is here with us, and congratulations for all the change makers. I think I'm the only one from across the globe, as you mentioned. I'm mainly an Egyptian citizen, and I'm the chairman and the CEO of Decarbon Global. And Decarbon Global is a company that has locations and operations in Egypt, the GCC, Netherlands, and recently in Toronto, Canada. I think thinking about having a very 2 minutes to deliver something of value, I think I have two management for the consulting in two messages for the consulting industry that may be of value those days. First of all, we are witnessing huge transformation on all levels. And accordingly, definitely, the consulting industry will play a very important role in this transformation. It's not only digital transformation accompanied by AI. It's not only sustainability and climate change issues. In fact, every field is witnessing some sort of transformation. And I believe that the role of consulting and advising is very important to make this transformation efficient, smooth as much as possible. And this would be our job in this decade, I believe. The second message I'd like to direct through your platform and to share with your colleagues is that I'm a university professor. I'm a professor of economics of sustainability and climate change. I'm also a policy advisor to a number of governments, and I'm a business consultant. And the message I would like to deliver here is that combining theory, policy and practice is becoming so much important in the work of the consultants nowadays. Changes are happening very fast on all level, global, that have impacts on the global, regional, national, sectoral, and departmental levels. And accordingly, having knowledge besides skills is something that is of very important. I think we have been talking a lot in the past on skills. This is the time we would like to talk about knowledges, because knowledges will be a very important key element that we would like to take into these decades in order to put into effect some sort of efficient and smooth transformation. Again, thank you so much for nominating me from across the globe. Thank you so much for having a look on a different region of the world, because I believe that the name of the game also will be collaboration in the coming period. Collaboration, coordination is very important. Listening, as Barclay stated, listening back, but not only to our clients, but also listening to the people at the very different spectrum of the world, and engaging them into the transformation process that is happening everywhere is something that is very important. And finally, again, thank you personally, Ba, for you and your team for all of the efforts that has been put behind this platform, and hopefully we can contribute to it more in the coming days. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ehab. I know I'm definitely going to be following the work of Decarbon Global much more closely moving forward. That was wonderful. Thanks so much. Drum roll,
All right.
please, for our next awardee, Japheth. Who's up?
Yeah, here we go. Tuning in from Poland, we've got Eugene with Vidicore. Eugene, congrats for being a 2025 Changemaker winner. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. So my name is Eugene. I've been a managing director of Vidicorp for the last 4 years. We are a UK-based data analytics consultancy. And over the last year, I've basically led a change to productize our services. So instead of doing custom projects for every client, I was trying to create packaged solutions that we could develop. As part of that, we've developed our own software. We've developed free templates for people to use. So yeah, this change has been quite exciting, and I do see people starting to recognize us for like the specific problems that we solve, which is also very good to see. So I also would just like to answer one of the questions that you guys presented to us in the beginning, specifically about how to find mentors. So personally, I'm a big believer in self-learning. I think it's really important to be honest with yourself, what you don't know, and what skills you need at the moment. And then I think it's also really important to understand how to learn those skills. Like digital skills are best to learn from like reputable online resources, or traditional skills like data visualization, your ability to work with clients. There are lots of books about it. So, but I think it's, yeah, just one piece of advice from me is just be honest with yourself and be always looking for like this information that could teach you the new skills. But yeah, the information is always out there. You just have to be willing to look for it.
I love that. The knowledge is out there if you know that, if you can recognize that you need it. Thanks so much, Eugene. I think one of the innovations that's coming to the space in the next 10 years, at least in pockets of consulting, is this productization. So kudos to you for adjusting your business
Yeah,
model on the fly. That is much easier
sure.
said than done. And also kudos to you for dialing in from a wedding. So I have to I have to
Yes,
give you
thank
brownie
you.
points for that. Thanks so much for joining us
Yeah,
today.
I will raise a toast to management consulting. So, and
Yeah. I,
yeah, just
I'll drink to that.
yes, just the last thing. Yeah, I feel the consulting industry is changing because people are looking for ready-made solutions, and only if they can't find ready-made solutions, they look for something custom. So that's basically the whole thinking behind this move.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks so much, Eugene. Japheth, who's our next awardee?
From FTI Consulting, we've got Lorena with us today, Director of Crisis Communications. Lorena, congratulations. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Management Consulted, but also to those at FTI that put me up for this award. That really means a lot. So what really started off is just like wanting to get to know colleagues from other offices or other countries, other employee resource groups, and really making space through like volunteering events or other more social events to connect has now become something that I get to do much bigger in my day-to-day work. So I now have the privilege of working with clients across the world and often in high stakes, complex situations in my crisis work. And really that impact comes from working with the right people across our global network. And I've been really lucky to spot how crucial it is to create not just like a strategy, but then a strong team with, again, the right people on it to really capture that nuance that a client needs, and being the person that can find the right people because you've made that personal connection with, again, different countries, different teams, whatever it might be, has been really helpful in driving that change for clients. So it's been really proud to play that bridge within our firm and for our clients. And this recognition is really a reflection of the great people that I get to work with every day and keep making those bridges and connections wherever I can, making sure that whenever our internal teams feel heard and like they're belonging, that's when we really deliver better results for clients.
Amazing. Lorena, I feel very confident saying that I think your role is only going to grow in importance and scope moving forward, crisis communications. So we're really honored to have you with us today, and look forward to continuing to follow your journey and learn from you, as you continue to kind of blaze the trail and what it looks like to do crisis communications well. Thank you so much.
Chris, thank you.
All right. Next up, we got a marketing whiz from Hexaware, Nidhi Alexander. Nidhi, congratulations for being a change maker. Excited to hear from you.
Thank you, Management Consultant, for this really incredible recognition. It's truly a privilege to be named Changemaker of the Year, and wonderful to hear from all the fellow changemakers, because it's great to see all the change and the transformation that we bring in the industry that we serve. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Hexaware, and Hexaware is a global technology and a business process services company. Every day, each of us wake up with a singular purpose: to create smiles through great people and technology. We have offices across the globe where we empower enterprises that we serve to realize digital transformation at scale by partnering with them to build, transform, run, and optimize both their technology and their business processes. This award today is really not just about me. It's really a tribute to the extraordinary people at Hexaware. Together, we are not just navigating the future, we're shaping it. We're creating a world that is artificial intelligence-led and human intelligence perfected. A special thank you to our CEO, Keech, whose leadership and vision continue to inspire us to challenge norms and to really think bigger. At Hexaware, we embrace change not as a disruption, but it's really seen as an opportunity to redefine what's possible. We believe transformation definitely does not come by standing still. It happens when we move with courage and conviction and collaborate with purpose. This recognition is a reminder that the work we do matters, and it energizes us to keep driving impact. Thank you once again for this tremendous honor.
Thank you so much, Nidhi. I love the passion in your voice for the work that you do and the firm that you represent. I think it's evident that that's one of the reasons you were nominated and chosen as a change maker. So thanks again.
Thanks, Naaman.
Wonderful. All right. Well, moving on, excited to congratulate Parika from Cherokee Federal, Director of Strategy Transformation. Congrats on being a change maker. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I want to thank Management Consulted. This is so exciting to be part of this amazing group of consultants. I've been in the consulting world for about 15 years now. It's really something that I enjoy doing. If I think about my impact over the years, a lot of it is numbers based. Right. And I have all of these bullets on my resume of I've saved X amount of money, I've helped this, I've, driven efficiency. But if I really think about the impact that I've had, I would say it's people based. And so when I have clients coming back to me and saying, I remember you, what you did made a difference, or there was somebody on my team that I was mentoring, and they, keep me abreast of their progress and their successes. I really think that's what's the most exciting part about consulting is, yes, you have to be extremely driven and smart, and it's very challenging. But at the end, it's really about people. It is a people business, and it is about your partnerships, it's about your teams, about your clients, and really building those relationships. And I think that's what I remember, in all of those moments, not just the numbers and the business cases, which is truly exciting, of course, but it's all those people that I've worked with, and really being able to, I think, talk to them as another human being. And we've said this a lot on this call, but listening to them and being truly that thought partner. So I really think of consulting as just being that trusted advisor where your clients, can trust you, and they're coming to you with their most complex problems, and they know that you might at least be able to provide some type of a structure or guide them into a solution. And so that's what I find really, really exciting. And so thank you all again. I'm just thrilled to be here.
I think that's a fantastic reminder. A lot of people ask, what is my legacy? And I think what you're reminding us of, Erica, is like, who is my legacy? It's the people and the relationships that are really that legacy. So thank you so much. Really timely reminder.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we got Sarah Deal, founder and principal of Empowered Hospitality. Sarah, excited to hear from you.
Thank you. And thank you so much to Management Consulted for this recognition. I'm really honored to accept on behalf of our whole team at Empowered. I was lucky enough to co-found the company about 8 years ago, and the work that we do is incredibly important. We provide people and talent solutions to the hospitality industry. And as many of you, I'm sure, know, nearly 60% of US adults and around 17 million people are employed in the hospitality industry at some point in their lives. And truly, the experience that people have working in the restaurant industry can really shape not just their experience in the industry itself, but just their attitudes towards work and their level of optimism and their ability to progress through their careers in the future. So the work we're doing to build strong foundations from an HR and talent perspective is really the motivation in and of itself. And I would say it's made my job really easy. I love what I do because we can really see the impact of the work with our clients and the small businesses that we generally support. So again, thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here and just excited to continue making an impact through the businesses that we partner with.
Sarah, I'm one of the 60% that spent some time in hospitality during school. I wish my employer had worked with you all. So I won't name and shame, but I'm glad that you exist. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Well, last but certainly not least, we're joined by Tori Hayer. Congratulations, Tori, with Omni Consulting. Congrats again. I'm excited to give you the floor.
Thank you, Japheth. I appreciate it. I'm very humbled by this honor and energized to be recognized along such other amazing professionals that we've already heard from today. I am a senior director at Omni Consulting, and Omni is a women-owned, women-led management consulting firm focused in health, wellness, and plant-based medicine. We're based in the Philadelphia area, but have team members across the East Coast. We partner with leaders to build trusting teams and deliver transformative strategies because we believe that a strategy can only succeed when there's a strong, trusting team to bring it forward. In my work, I often ask leaders, what legacy do you want to leave? And Iman, I know you already spoke to this a little bit, but often it is about those people and not just the outcomes that they want to bring to work. And so I've seen teams rally around their people and really shift from true collective ownership and align on those bold priorities and shared values that shape how they move forward together. So sometimes in the example that was shared as part of my nomination process, that means just reimagining something as foundational as a medical and parental leave process, ensuring that employees feel supported and connected through every stage. And those moments really remind me that lasting change comes from cultures where people are seen and supported as whole humans. As a working parent myself, that mission is deeply personal. When people feel valued, they don't just deliver results, but they create ripples of impact that last throughout their career, through different organizations and their communities. So to close, I'm very grateful for my leadership team at Omni, my colleagues, and my clients who continuously model courageous, empathetic leadership. And thank you again to the team at Management Consulted for recognizing that being a change maker isn't just about those business results and those high visibility projects, but about the people who are impacted along the way.
100%. Kudos to you, Tori, for the great work that you're doing. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Japheth, I know that there were 3 awardees who weren't able to be with us today. Would you just quickly like to spotlight them as well? Because they are just as deserving of the spotlight as the folks we've been able to hear from today.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of folks not able to be here with us today, but just want to quickly spotlight them. First up, we've got Irina with Farmer for You. So congratulations to Irina and to the rest of your team for this award. Excited to continue following Farmer for You's space or journey inside the consulting space. Next up, Rick Moreland with Modality Global Advisors. He's the CEO over there. Rick, been following your team's journey for a couple of years, and could be more excited to continue following you. Last but certainly not least, we got Sonia Clayton, president of VIP or Virtual Intelligence Providers. And so Sonia, a great leader, great career, and just a ton of impact throughout her career, and just she keeps on continuing that trajectory. So
Wonderful. Arena, Rick, Sonia, congratulations. We miss you. We wish you could have been here with us, but wanted to honor you. Congratulations again. And maybe we'll get a chance afterwards to share some of the nomination stories from those folks that we weren't able to hear from live. Let's go ahead and just open up the floor for a minute. Japheth, I know we put together a couple of questions that we just wanted to hear from our awardees around. And so if you want to pop those questions up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with number one. And then folks on the call, I'm just going to ask you to maybe raise your virtual hand. And we'll hear a couple of different perspectives on each question. If you've got something that you want to say around this theme, then please just raise the virtual hand and we'll make space for you to address it. And so, question number one that we had was just, can you share one piece of advice for consultants who feel like they're not currently creating meaningful change? Maybe they feel like they're stuck in a rut. Maybe they feel like they're at the end of the rope and they're looking to leave consulting altogether. Does someone just have advice for folks who might find themselves in that kind of situation? Yes, Tori, please.
jump in.
Yeah.
I feel like we've all, as consultants, have felt like this at one point in our journey or another. And I think it's going back to what I was sharing, that not everything is about a big impact or a big visible impact or this huge project or initiative, but it's about those people that you are interacting with on a day-to-day basis. And so I know, I think Barclay, you kicked us off at the beginning with really talking about listening, and being that person who really shows up, listens, understands. And so I just think it's all of those little moments that add together to really create an impactful change. And then, of course, there's some of the big projects along the way.
Wonderful. Anyone want to build on that? Barkley, I saw you
Yeah,
on.
I can't figure out how to raise my hand. So
Okay, that's fine.
I like to comment you made earlier. I believe it was on, consulting is really a human capital management business. I worked in the clothing industry. I made shirts and pants. I work in the human capital management industry. My cost of goods line is people. I really like people. I'm a people person. I think if you're thinking about getting out of consulting or getting into consulting, I think where I've been really happy and sort of found my groove here is if you like people, right, it's a really good place because the people you manage are people and your clients are people, which means everything you do is people all day. So if that sounds like you, right, if that sounds like the type of workplace that you want to be working in, consulting is a really great place to do that. If that doesn't sound like you, there's lots of reasons to leave consulting. Consulting is a tough line of work, right? It's demanding. Client services are hard. Clients are not easy. I haven't found an easy client yet. If anyone else has, maybe they could share some tips for the group. But I think it's sort of part of what we've all signed up for. And if that's something that sort of turns your gears, it's a great way to be here or a great reason to be here. And if it's something that doesn't turn your gears, then going back to industry or going into another line of work probably makes a lot of sense.
Nidhi, did you want to add to that?
I was just looking at when, people start their career in consulting and they want to make a lot of change, and sometimes you don't see it immediately. Sometimes it's very important for people to just step back and see, a journey of 1,000 miles always starts with a single step. And change is often not that dramatic when you get started in consulting. So sometimes I think it just is important to celebrate those little moments. It can start with helping a stakeholder see a problem differently, perhaps building a framework for future decisions, improving how a team even communicates. But see your value in every small thing, because your real value is in planting seeds that will grow later. Ask yourself, what is the smallest win that I can create today or this week that makes tomorrow easier for the client or for the company that you represented at large?
I love that. Sarah.
Thank you. So I was going to add, I think that alignment with the purpose of the broader purpose of your work is incredibly important. And not that every day will feel like you're, showing up and doing what you love, but that when things get hard, that purpose is what remains your North Star. And I think I see this a lot, of course, with the businesses we support from a people strategy perspective. How are they doing a better job of conveying what their business is all about and what everyone on their team is working towards? You can do that as an individual as well, reminding yourself of the broader motivation that got you into what you're doing in the first place and making sure that you stay inspired, even if the work in the moment isn't necessarily as inspiring to you.
Incredible. I think that there's some amazing nuggets in each one of those answers. I feel like I want to recap them, but I won't, because I want to make sure we have time for the rest of our questions. So, Japheth, what's question number 2?
Question number 2 is what's the most memorable lesson that you learned as a new consultant?
Ooh, okay, Prerika, I know your hand shot right up. And so I just want I just want to define this. I think the way that we thought about new consultant is within your first 12 months on the job. Go ahead.
So, I remember when I first got into consulting, as so many have said, it is very demanding, right? There's a lot happening. I was also on the Monday to Thursday travel schedule. And so I think that, the biggest lesson is honestly being able to set your boundaries and take breaks, because especially when you're new, it's so hard to feel, you feel like you have to just stay at your desk all day. You can't leave for coffee, you can't have your lunch, your dinner, but those are the things that are actually going to energize you and make you productive and really help you understand if consulting is meant for you long term. And I would say take those opportunities to chat with somebody on the client team, chat with somebody in your office, and ask them to lunch or to coffee or happy hour, whatever it is, so that you're energized, but then it's also feeling productive. So that is the biggest lesson for me, and that's what I did a lot in my first year.
It's all about relationships, and also coffee helps. So
I can't figure out how to raise my hand, but
that's
I
okay,
click it.
Eugene. Just please go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so something that I feel I didn't do enough is invest more time into some long-term initiatives. So perhaps something that is not going to give you like return on your time in the beginning, but over time builds up and stays with you. So just things like great content for thought leadership, gathering reviews for your work. So over time, these things kind of snowball, and then they kind of carry you forward. I think in the beginning, when you just start as a consultant, you spend a lot of time in this mindset where if you invest time somewhere, like you should see the results of your work almost immediately. And yeah, I think it's kind of a trap. So it's equally important to spend time on like something that will pay off in the long term. And that could be so many things. It could be related to your marketing. It could be just training yourself in new skills. But yeah, that's something I wish I did a bit more in my first 12 months.
Eugene, can I ask you a follow-up briefly? Um,
Yeah.
if you could go back and then like invest in one long-term initiative or one long-term skill building habit, what would it be? Just for yourself.
For me, it would be content. Like I can, so content is, especially some forms of content that have a long lifetime, like your articles, your YouTube videos. So something that people keep finding on search. It could be like your posts on forums. So pretty much anything search based. I feel it's great to grow your career. So yeah, and even as you create this content, you learn quite a lot of things. So yeah, if I had to choose one thing, that would be it.
Great advice for those of you kind of in firm leadership positions. One of the things I've always found uh, for myself is creating content clarifies my own thinking. So even if nobody else sees it
Yeah.
or reads it, I'm much clearer on what I think and believe as well. I think that's a huge kind of understated value of that kind of process. Wonderful. Anyone else want to share kind of one thing that they learned? Yes, please. Needy, go ahead.
One of the things, when I started my career in media and then went into large enterprises, I think one of the lessons that I learned is that leaders and clients rarely need more data thrown at them, right? Or information thrown at them. They really need consultants to help convert this data into actionable insight. They want you to come with clarity, with direction. And I think that is a hallmark of a good consultant. When I started my job, I thought, a lot of it is about sharing about all the data I had, all that I knew. But quickly I realized that sometimes simplifying complexity, the ability to make the complex simple, asking the right questions, structuring the conversation so that people could make decisions effectively was a skill that I thought was something that I constantly had to build on. And so it's not just about providing data, but really providing insight, direction that leads to momentum and change.
I second that.
Yes, I can absolutely vouch for that. I was going to say the same thing, Eugene. That was the biggest learning for me early on in my career is that stakeholders didn't need more data. They needed more confidence in the data that they had. And my job was to actually put a stake in the ground and say, here's my perspective, and I have an evidence base for it. But like the job is to be directive. So I can personally vouch for that. Christina.
Yeah, similarly, like to drawing insight from data, but also anticipating needs and being able to tell a story visually and motivating folks visually through that story, I think was a really big lesson that I learned. And I think that's an invaluable skill, not only to your client, but your internal team as well. And they'll continually come back to you for that ability. So honing your storytelling, I think, is really important.
Absolutely. Tori, by the way, I would say storytelling is probably like the skill of the 21st century, right? So Tori, please go ahead.
Thank you. I had an example. I vividly remember my first day at a client site after college, and I remember my manager showing me my desk and saying, "Think about how to structure a PMO." And I was like, okay, I will sit here and think about that. And then quickly got on Google and was like, what is a PMO? But I say that because I felt like back then I needed to have the answers. I was embarrassed to like ask those questions. And at 22, 23, 24 years old, when you're early in your career in consulting, no one actually expects you to know the answers, but to be able to think, research, and ask those smart questions to get there. So don't be embarrassed if you don't know, but come up with a plan to get there.
Yeah, I mean, your job's just to be a fast learner, right?
Absolutely.
Eugene.
I figured out how to raise my hand.
Fast learner. There you go.
Yes. Yeah, new skills. So I just want to add one more really important skill, in my opinion, is being proactive with bringing your ideas to your clients. Once you finish a task that they ask you to finish, like think about the next thing that they might need. Maybe think about this, another solution you did for a single client and just talk them through it. Don't just leave things where like you achieved what they asked for. Like think about the next thing that they may need. So
There's always like a second and third order effect and an implication
yeah.
to the recommendation you're making 100%.
Mm.
Japheth, let's transition to question number 3 because I want to make sure we have enough time to unpack that as well.
Great. All right. Mentorship. How did you find and keep mentors in consulting?
This, by the way, is like an audience-driven question. So this is like one of the top questions we get from current and prospective consultants is how do I find these kind of relationships? And so I'll open up the floor. Just know that this is the question I think that most people are most interested in hearing the answer to.
I can kick us off here.
Please.
I'm not the fast learner. I still haven't figured out how to raise my hand. Yeah, mentors and mentorship it's so critical. I mean, it may sound obvious, right? But I think I look at where I've gotten in my career on the backs of many others. I have a variety of coaches, mentors, formally, informally, paid and unpaid. Often what they look like are people, former bosses, folks from former firms. And what I think makes a lot of these mentorship relationships really effective is they're kind of like a good friendship, right? You have similar, so advice for finding good ones are you have similar career aspirations, you have similar views of the world. And when you get together with them, I think about one of the mentors who I had dinner with last week. It's more like a friendship, right? Like I like having those conversations. I ask him about his kids. He asked me about my wife and my kids. And so I think to me, that's what like a really constructive mentorship relationship looks like, right? It's organic and natural because you have similar interests, you have similar drive and ambition, you've done similar work in similar spaces together. And then the advice just comes naturally, right? And you can share things that are top of mind because you're in that safe sort of friendship space and you get really good advice that way. So that's how sort of mentorship has evolved for me over the years, but it's usually started with former bosses at prior firms or people who they've connected me with.
I love that. I don't think I personally have ever had a mentor where I actually went to them and said, "Will you be my mentor?" Right? Like it's a more organic relationship that evolves over time. I'm not saying that formal ask can't work, but it sounds like that's not been your approach, and it's certainly not worked for me in the past either.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that approach, actually
Yeah.
asking for formal mentorship. It's like, do you go up to people and say, "Will you be my friend?" Usually not, right? You cultivate friendship, you cultivate relationships, right? And so I think I've approached it in a similar manner.
I love
May I
that.
jump in with an insight here because I
Please,
cannot
please.
raise my hand too. A small insight that I have been witnessing recently and across different regions is that new people who are joining the consultancy industry are seeking small consultancy and boutique firms rather than big consultancy firms, particularly for the mentorship issue. They feel that joining small consultancy firms bring them very close to high-level professionals who manage these boutique firms because they are most probably a flat organizational level that you are close to the high-level personnel there. But this is a note, I think, about mentorship that even the new generation that are joining the industry is literally very keen about being mentored in their first phases of their careers.
Yeah, Ihab, I think that's a key point too. It's just proximity, right? Like proximity leads to relationship, and that can't be understated. Leave the floor open for another minute or two if someone has a thought that pops into their mind here.
I'll toss one more out there. Particularly if you're younger in your career, I think the instinct is my mentor should be the CEO of the firm, or it should be some luminary, right? Um, I coach against that to my teams and to my people, right? Your mentors and people you're taking most of your advice from should be one or two levels above you, right? It's relevant, career contextual, life stage contextual, right? Like it's the advice you need at that time. Going to the CEO for advice, they can give you some inspirational quotes. They can, sort of point you to some readings. They can probably suggest you find a mentor who's more appropriate for your level. But I would say don't necessarily, I'd say, shoot for the stars to like think that if you get the CEO as the mentor, that will make you a CEO. Look for someone who can give you advice that's relevant for sort of where you are in your career today.
Yeah.
Uh, I'd also add a little bit to that as well. I think when you look for the mentorships and for mentors, you need to somebody who can take a step back and take a look at what it is that you're doing and kind of give their unbiased opinion on it in the sense that uh, they can advise you what you might be doing well, where you might have challenges, what you're not doing well. Like, to be fair, my best mentors to me have always been my parents, even though they are not in the industry where I work, but with the practical guide in the sense that they can kind of steer in the right direction. I think this is a good way to go. Somebody who has practical experience, generally in building systems, in designing processes, what customers are looking for in the system, what customers are not looking for in the systems. So I think to mentorship, it's important to look for people who can give you that candid feedback, that can tell you, yeah, this process you're doing, it might not work that well because it might not be perceived by your clients or customers the way that you want it to do, that you hope to, because not everybody thinks like you. So I guess that would be my, I guess, comment on the mentorship.
Love it, Leon. Thank you so much, and thank you for kind of speaking up there. I know you're here in place of Arena today, so thank you so much. We'll go Eugene and then Needy. It sounded like both of you had something to say as well. I'll give you both the last word if that's true.
It's stupid. I was just going to recommend a morning routine.
Okay. Well, let's go for it. You got 30 seconds. What's your morning routine?
No, no, no.
Um, Needy, how about you?
Everything you saw on YouTube, just do that.
Okay.
So, one of the things I find is mentorship often starts with a great conversation. You have a great conversation with somebody, you feel that, you learn so much and you continue to build on this. And like Barclay said, I always believe don't look at titles that impress you, look at people whose work styles you admire. That's what I go for. And ask them for their opinion, share your progress. And I think mentors appreciate when you've asked them for opinions, when they've given you advice, that you actually use it. Go back to them and tell them, you know what, you told me this, it really worked for me. I think they would really appreciate that. And when you demonstrate that you act on their guidance, gratitude and follow through goes a long way in deepening those relationships into something meaningful and that can last a lifetime.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Last thing I'll just add, Japheth, is you're kind of putting up our last slide is just I found that taking the mindset of a giver as opposed to a taker is really powerful. And so like you can be mentored by someone who's just one step ahead of you in the career journey, and you can, even if you're young, mentor someone who's one step behind you. And that kind of mindset, that kind of aura, if you will, I think is attractive to potential mentors as well. And so sometimes you give to get, and people even who are ahead of you can learn and glean from you as well and your perspective. So having that giving mindset versus that taking mindset is just the last thing that I would add here. We're right at the top of the hour. Thank you all so much. First of all, to all of our winners, congratulations again. I learned so much from this conversation. I really enjoyed it. If any of you ever find yourself in Austin, Texas, the first coffee or the first drink is on me. So please let me know if you're ever in town when I'm here. So congratulations to all of you. Congratulations and thank you to all the nominators as well. Thank you for bringing these amazing folks to our attention here at Management Consulted. And thank you to all of the firms that are represented here as well today for fostering the kind of environment where change makers can really make an impact. That concludes our ceremony for 2025. Congratulations against everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful rest of your week, and we look forward to staying connected with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.